What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with First Look. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler face off for the first time. Ahead of the May debut of The Ultimate Fighter Season 31, Conor McGregor has officially given fans their first look at he and Michael Chandler's first face-off. The former two-division champ shared the footage on Twitter recently, shortly after revealing his plans to grow a goatee because he's the GOAT. In a series of photos, the Irish superstar can be seen staring down at Chandler and shrinking, so the pair are at eye level. So far, there's been no word yet on when the bout could take place. Chandler has stated that sometime in September or October would make the most sense, but the biggest holdup at the present time is McGregor's eligibility. According to USADA, he'll have to undergo 6 months of testing prior to becoming eligible, meaning that without already beginning testing, McGregor would not be eligible until at least September. Of course, on the flip side, the former two-division champ also believes that he'll be granted an exemption from the 6-month testing period. According to McGregor, who spoke during a recent appearance on the MMA Hour, he has a meeting scheduled to sit down with USADA reps in the near future to iron out the details of his return. Despite that, USADA has maintained that no meeting is scheduled, and McGregor should undergo the 6 months of testing prior to competing again. While McGregor's claim that he will have to submit 2 tests before returning is true, the testing agency itself wants to see him go through 6 full months. With that said, the UFC could make an exemption and grant him an exemption, like they did for Brock Lesnar. But as UFC President Dana White has already stated, he has no say in how things play out. Fortunately, it's been decided that the fight will take place at welterweight, indicating that some preliminary talks for the bout have already taken place. As McGregor revealed on the MMA Hour, with a win over Chandler, he plans to make a case for a welterweight title shot. From the sounds of things, however, it'll be Colby Covington who gets the next crack at Leon Edwards' belt after the champ defeated Kamaru Usman in the main event of UFC 286. How do you see the return of McGregor playing out? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments section below. Leon Edwards weighs in on potential 4th fight with Kamaru Usman. After closing the book on his storied rivalry with Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards found himself fielding questions about a potential 4th fight with the former champion after Usman said during his post-fight Octagon interview that Edwards would see him in the Octagon again. Given that the first fight took place so long ago, in 2015, 8 years ago, many have wondered if another fight makes sense. During the UFC 286 post-fight press conference, Edwards shot down the idea, saying that he wants to look ahead to new challenges.
Probably not. It's been 3 fights now, so I want to move forward in my career. I'll look towards more different fights.
While Edwards set his sights on a new challenger in Colby Covington, the question now becomes who Kamaru Usman should fight next. After dropping back-to-back losses, Usman now finds himself at a crossroads. As his 36th birthday approaches in May, Usman has already dispatched many of the division's top prospects. Given the number of contenders rising through the ranks, including Belal Muhammad and Shavkat Rakhmonov, he could have a hard time making a case for another crack at the title. Do you think Edwards and Usman square off for a 4th time? Drop your thoughts in the comments section down below. Alex Pereira extremely confident heading into Adesanya rematch. As the rematch between middleweight champion Alex Pereira and former champion Israel Adesanya rapidly approaches in less than 3 weeks' time, the former two-division Glory kickboxing champ is feeling supremely confident. After engaging in 4 rounds of hard sparring with Chinese boxing star Zhilei Zhang, who is gearing up for a WBO interim heavyweight title fight with Joe Joyce on April 15th, Pereira took to Twitter to reflect. Zhang has been on an absolute tear as a professional boxer, rattling off 24 straight wins over nearly a decade before tasting defeat for the first time last year. As he looks ahead to what many are calling the biggest test of his career, it sounds as though he's been sparring with the best of the best in Pereira. With just weeks to go until Pereira and the last stylebender clash for the 2nd time inside the Octagon, how do you see things playing out? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Belal Muhammad reacts to Colby Covington getting a title shot. In the wake of UFC President Dana White announcing Colby Covington as the next welterweight title challenger, streaking contender Belal Muhammad is not happy. After fighting down in the rankings and handing Sean Brady his first professional loss, Muhammad seemed poised for a #1 contender bout. Although the UFC was working on a Colby Covington versus Khamzat Chimaev fight at one point, things fell through and talk apparently shifted to a Covington versus Muhammad fight, something Chaos denied leading up to UFC 286. Taking to Twitter after the fight, Muhammad pointed out Dana White's hypocrisy in saying that he never makes fights after a fight, given that he announced Covington as the #1 contender immediately after the card during the post-fight press conference. Belal Muhammad also pointed out that he believes the UFC could have had a hand in getting Colby to drop the charges against Jorge Masvidal following the alleged sucker punch that took place in Miami. Muhammad also pulled the receipts on Covington, sharing a screenshot of a text between he and his chef from January, where he stated that he could be fighting Covington on the UFC 286 London card and would need his services in Chicago 4 weeks out from the fight. Do you think Muhammad and Covington will ever have the chance to settle their differences inside the octagon? Sound off below. Colby Covington blasts Khamzat Chimaev. When it was revealed that Colby Covington was the backup fighter for the UFC 286 main event, many people wondered what had happened with the rumored #1 contender fight against Khamzat Chimaev that the UFC was working on. During a backstage interview, the former two-time title challenger shot down talk of Chimaev being a true contender, while referencing his UFC 279 Fight Week weigh-in debacle.
And he had the easiest fight in the division, the soy boy Nate Diaz, and he still couldn't make weight. He missed weight by 9 pounds, and he's laughing it off like this is a joke. He's a joke. The guy sucks at fighting. He's unprofessional, and I don't want to ever hear that guy's name again. You guys hype him up to be this great giant. The guy couldn't hold my jockstrap.
With Chimaev seemingly bound for middleweight, it sounds as though the two will never get the chance to settle things inside the octagon. Justin Gaethje eyeing rematch with Oliveira or Poirier. After Justin Gaethje lost his bid for the lightweight title last year against Charles Oliveira, there were many questions about what the future may hold for the man dubbed the most exciting fighter in the division. After taking a brief hiatus, which included getting his nose surgically fixed, Gaethje made a big return to the octagon this past weekend when he squared off against Rafael Fiziev. After 3 hard-fought rounds, Gaethje picked up a decision win, reminding the rest of the division of his status as a top contender. In the wake of the victory, Gaethje revealed that he has his sights set on either a rematch with Dustin Poirier or a rematch with Charles Oliveira, who is currently scheduled to compete against Beneil Dariush at UFC 288 in a fight that many people believe to be a #1 contender bout. After saying that a rematch with Poirier would be great, Gaethje was asked if he'd be interested in facing the loser of the Oliveira versus Dariush fight.
I'd rather not fight Dariush. I love that dude. I think he's going to beat Oliveira. I fought like a complete idiot when I fought Oliveira, so I would love to have that fight back, but Dustin's just as good as an option.
Now that he's back in the win column, who do you want to see Gaethje fight next? Sound off in the comments section down below. And now for our breaking news story of the day. We have a UFC fighter allegedly caught cheating at UFC 286. Jafel Filio claims Muhammad Mokaev tapped to 3 submission attempts at UFC 286 and is now considering an appeal. When re-watching it, you can clearly see Muhammad tapping on the side of Jafel. We cannot show footage due to copyright, but you can go find it online for yourselves. Mokaev said during the post-fight press conference he definitely did not tap in the first round.
There's a video someone took from like the stands. It looks like you had tapped in the first round when he was trying to maneuver your shoulder. So you would refute that you tapped in there, right?
In the first round?
Yeah.
No,
it looked like you were on top and he was kind of working your shoulder and your hand looked like it had tapped.
No, definitely. First round, I did make noise like this, so he squeezed more, get tight, but I was over his knees. If you look the full guard, it was like quite tight, but it wasn't. I still could breathe, you know. No, definitely no.
What do you think the UFC should do about this? Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with MMA news every day. Here are the top comments from yesterday's video. Colby is going to take that belt. LOL, Edwards says no to Colby, but he hasn't fought since he beat Masvidal, so he doesn't deserve it, but wants to fight Jorge, who lost his last 3 fights. LOL, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially since the last loss was against Colby, so he has been out just as long really. He doesn't want to fight someone he thinks could win. Gaethje's CTE showing strong. Can he see that although Bisping was clearly favoring Leon, DC was blatantly favoring Usman? Turns out Usman is ordinary. And those were the top comments from yesterday's video. If you want to be featured on our next video, make sure to leave a comment and don't forget to check out yesterday's video in case you missed it. Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all of the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.